Paducah Middle, 7th grade and 8th grade. Ms. Bertram here. I want to tell you a little bit about the PSAT 8-9. It's a test that we're getting ready to take next week. I know you've already started bubbling because I've been in your lead classes and I've seen you doing it. Thank you for doing that. I was out last week with the flu and I didn't get a chance to tell you what we're doing and why we're doing it. Let me tell you about that today, okay? Hope you're listening. There are 174 middle schools in the state of Kentucky. That's a lot of middle schools. And this company called Advanced Kentucky that's in Lexington, they have chosen five middle schools out of 174, and they chose us at Paducah Middle. They're really excited about our school and all the things that they're seeing and all the things that we're doing, so they wanted to jump in with us and help us to improve our math department. Now, here's what's going to happen. We received a 3-year grant. This year doesn't count as part of the grant. This was the application process. They had to come visit our school. We had to go visit them in Lexington. A lot of things going on. So they chose us. So this year we're setting our benchmark, our base. And they have asked us to take the PSAT 8-9 test, which is the middle school version of the high school SAT. Some of you have older brothers and sisters that have taken it, and some of you will take it in high school as well. But today I want to tell you a little bit about how to take it next week. Okay, there are 7 questions on this test. It's a total of 2 hours and 25 minutes of testing. You're going to have 4 little mini tests. 2 of them are math with a calculator, 1 without a calculator on another, and then there's a reading test and a language arts test. Now, on the math test, there's 7 questions that are called grid-in questions, and they look like this. Everything else is straight multiple choice. But here's what I want you to see. In your answer box for the grid-in, you're going to have a space. If you want to put in a fraction answer, you have to put in the fraction bar, and you have to color it in and bubble it in. And if you want a decimal, you have to put a decimal. So for example, if your answer is 7/12, then you would put in 7/12. You would go down the first column, bubble in the 7, go to the very top, bubble in your slash bar for your fraction bar, and then bubble in 1/2 to get an answer of 7/12. Now, if you think your answer is 2.5 and you want to put 2.5 in, you bubble in your 2, bubble in the decimal this time, and then bubble in your 5. So this is a little bit different. I want you to see how to do a fraction and a decimal. Now, in the fraction part, there's 2 things you need to know. 1, you do not have to simplify. What? Every math teacher on the planet tells you to simplify fractions, right? You do not have to. So if you have an answer like 3/24, you do not have to simplify it. You can leave it as 3/24. If you come up with a mixed number, say 1 2/3, you cannot put in 1 2/3 here. You have to convert it to an improper fraction. So what is 1 2/3 in an improper fraction? That's right, 5/3. So you would put 5, fraction bar 3. Okay, if you think your answer for the grid-in section is 201, you can justify it to the right or to the left. It doesn't matter where you leave your space. If you leave your space before the 2 or after the 1, they will accept both answers. The computer will read it. The important part is that you remember to go down and bubble in the 2, the 0, the 1. So if your answer is shorter than 4 spaces, it's okay. You just leave your space at the beginning or at the end. Don't leave it in the middle, but either at the beginning or at the end. This is another method of how they want you to grid on the grid-in section only. Do you remember how many questions I said there were that were like this? 7. There are 7. 3 on one part and 4 on the other. Now, the last thing I want to show you is the acceptable ways to grid 2/3. So you got the answer 2/3. You can put it in as a fraction like we just talked about with the 2, coloring in the fraction bar at the top, and then coloring in the 3. Again, you can justify it to the left or to the right. Now, if you're like, 2/3 is really a decimal, 0.6 repeating, that's what I want to use, okay, fine. Then put in your decimal point. Notice they didn't put a 0 in front. They started directly with the decimal point. Then grid in the decimal point. And then put in your 666 and grid it in. Well, Ms. Bertram, I know that 0.6 repeating is really going to be 0.667. Okay, that's acceptable too. Put your decimal, grid in the decimal, and then grid in 6, 6, and your 7. Okay? So if you get an answer of 2/3, any of these three are acceptable answer choices. Notice, just a reminder, you don't have to put the 0 in front of the decimal, but you do have to grid in either the decimal or the fraction bar. Okay? If you have any questions, let us know. Thanks, guys.